Good day. I will be analyzing Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen using the feminist approach of criticism. I will be talking about the roles and the treatment of women in the novel as well as the author and her background. Now, let me start with the author Jane Austen. Jane Austen used to be the anonymous author of Pride and Prejudice as well as her other novels because in her time, writing and other professions were perceived to be inappropriate for women to do. Women were just expected to get married and be dependent to their husbands. Mary Wollstonecraft stated in her work A Vindication of the Rights of Woman that the only way women can rise in the world is by marriage. It is worth noting that Mary Wollstonecraft and Jane Austen lived in the same time zone, so it means that women in their time were deprived of many rights and they were seen as inferior to men. Because of the inequality between men and women, Jane Austen, who is the English writer who paved the way in giving novels a modern style, did not get her time to shine. Though it was known that her novels were written by a lady, it is still unfortunate that she didn't get her well-deserved recognition until she died. We were only we were only able to get to know about her through her brother Henry Austen, who published her two other novels with a biography claiming that the anonymous author of Pride and Prejudice, as well as her other authors, were written by a lady named Jane Austen. Now let me talk about the piece itself, Pride and Prejudice. The heroine of the novel is Elizabeth Bennet, who is lively, witty, and handsome. Jane Austen is known to use the word handsome in her female characters because in their time, it was used to describe men and women who were attractive. So there's nothing wrong with the usage of handsome aside from the fact that handsome now is used or is mostly used to describe men. So the readers of this time in the present time they will be confused and there will be certain reactions to the usage of handsome in the female characters of the novel. Now let's go back to Elizabeth. She is a strong character. She is true to herself, she decides for herself, and she is not intimidated by others. She and her sister broke the standard for ladies who should excel at painting, drawing, singing, cooking, and other skills that females were expected to learn. They also didn't have a governess who will guide their learning. But they were not illiterate. They learned by themselves, and Elizabeth and Mary actually knew how to play the piano. Though they were not bothered by their lack of education, it would still be better if they were able to go to school. Mary Wollstonecraft stated that the educational system of their time deliberately trained women to be frivolous and incapable. So she recommended the establishment of a national educational system to operate mixed sex schools. Moreover, it was unfortunate that women need to be married in order for them to be financially stable and to not be a burden to their parents, like Charlotte Lucas, who married Mr. Collins for that same reason. Speaking of Mr. Collins, it was really unfair how he will inherit Longbourn because he was the nearest male heir of Mr. Bennet. Though it is irrevocable, it's still sad for the Bennet sisters, as well as the other daughters of that time, because in their time, entailing is commonly done. So it is sad for these daughters because they were deprived of the right of their own houses. Furthermore, Mrs. Bennet was portrayed as a noisy woman who is obsessed in getting her five daughters to be married. Though many people find her tiresome, if we look closely to her character, we can actually see that she is doing it for the sake of her five daughters because when Mr. Bennet dies, they will be homeless and they will not have a house unless they were married. So she was obsessed with getting her five daughters in getting married. On the other hand, Mr. Bennet leads the family and he makes all of the decisions in the family. Their family is patriarchal as well as most of the family in the novel. Jane Austen did a good job in showing that not every decision of the father is right. And it happened when Mr. Bennet decided to send Lydia to Brighton alone, even after Elizabeth warned him of its possible consequences. It almost broke the reputation of their family if it weren't for Mr. Darcy, who secretly helped them to solve their problem. Now, speak of Mr. Darcy, he shared his high standard of accomplished women in the beginning part of the novel. It was so high that he only knew more than half a dozen of these accomplished women. His description includes a thorough knowledge of music, singing, drawing, languages, manners, and improvement of mind by reading books. It showed how these skills are lacking. These skills are not enough for ladies for them to be accomplished. Mary Wollstonecraft stated that the educational system of her time deliberately trained women to be frivolous and incapable. However, it is good that Jane Austen included a capable woman with a high position in the novel. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is a patroness who runs a whole estate, the Rosings estate, and she is looked up by many people. Though her character is annoying, it is still good that Jane Austen showed how women can lead and women can have a high position. She also showed the other successful female characters like Georgiana Darcy and Caroline Bingley. Throughout the novel, Jane showed the role, the worries, and the struggles of being a woman. Pride and Prejudice showed the perspective of being a woman living her life in different situations of that time. The novel is entertaining and it is full of lessons. It is worth recommending, especially to young women who are searching for their worth. Christine de Pizan showed in the book of the City of Ladies that women have their own worth and that there are a huge number of women who have huge contributions to the world, like Jane Austen. She herself contributed a lot to the world of literature, and now she is still inspiring many people, men and women, through her timeless classics. And that's all. Thank you.